What's up? All right, sit down. Welcome to Plywood Presents. My name is Jeff, and I started this 8 years ago. And I remember the first year we did this. We were at a little studio on Krog Street, if you're from Atlanta. And there was 100 of us there. Are any of those people here today at the very first Plywood Presents? There's a couple down here, yes. And we were running this off of my laptop and one microphone. And I remember it was too bright in the room to see the presentations on the wall. We've come a long way in 8 years, right? Now, my concern that day, we had these little $8 IKEA black plastic chairs. And today you have these plush, fancy velvet chairs. So don't be falling asleep out there. We want to keep the energy high, right? In that time, we've been able to lead this community of startups doing good. In the last 3 years, we've worked at about 300 projects, some in Atlanta and some beyond. And some of those projects are for-profits, some are nonprofits, and we joke there's ones that have already failed. They did not make a profit, right? They're already out of business. But we've been able to walk with them in this process. This is why we exist. It's people in the audience right here that want to give their life to something more. They want to be contributing to a better future, right? That's why we're here today. And this theme this year is called Future Work. And when I think about the future, I instinctively think about time. You see, time doesn't change, but the rate of progress that we're seeing happening as it comes towards us is moving faster and faster and faster. Technology is moving faster and faster and faster. But the concern that I have is that the social issues of our day are not getting better at the same rate as technology. Is that fair to say? It's a great concern, but it is encouraging to me when people like you are in a space like this. So the future work, we have to talk about the past, present, and future. Where we are today, where we're going to be tomorrow, and where we have been before. When I start thinking about this, I start thinking about the future, which some of you guys may already be thinking about the after parties. You may already be thinking about who's speaking after I'm done, right? But when you start thinking about the future, the reality is we start wrestling with things like anxiety. We start getting concerned. We start feeling stress. We get confused, right? And worry starts to emerge. This is the unfortunate reality. Even in the last year, when we started thinking of this theme, we started talking about all the concerns that we're having in our community of people so concerned with things happening tomorrow. They're launching things and they start stressing out about whether people are going to like it. They start wondering if they priced it right. They start wondering if they priced it too low, too high. And then they start thinking, am I ever going to get a paycheck? And then they start thinking, do I know how to write paychecks? And then they start thinking, do we even have checks, right? The things that start to go through our minds when we're creating something for the future leaves us on the edge of our seats, wondering what's going to happen. And it's neglecting how we can live in the present. Then there's people that think about their past, right? There's people like me. This summer I started thinking about the past and some of my past successes and some of my past failures. One of the greatest fears I realized that I have in my life personally is that some of my past successes may be my greatest accomplishments. Man, when I started realizing that, I came to grips with this reality that I was not creating what could be next. I was being held back by what I had made in the past. The flip side is, you may be thinking in things about your past that were failures. The same thing with me, right? And what if we became known for these worst moments in our life, right? The moments that we don't want people to understand about us. The past holds us back towards moving into the future, and the future creates all this concern because it's unknown. So how now shall we live? How now shall we work? You see, the problem is we want to manipulate the stories of our past and control the stories of our future. In the middle of that, we live in the present and are playing off of both sides of the spectrum of time. So let's think about how we could move forward, right? When we look at the past, when we look back in time, we see a glimpse of who we are becoming. Every time I get to meet with a young entrepreneur, a person with some new idea, I ask them, why are you the person to solve this problem? And what I've noticed is if they don't have a personal story related to that problem they're trying to solve, they give up. They give up in 6 months or a year and a half when it gets hard. But when I find someone that has this personal story associated with this new idea they have, it finds great purpose in where they're going. And you may be thinking about that today. And I want you to ask this question to yourself. What have I done that is preparing me for tomorrow? Every time we do Plywood Presents, my team always says, you'll be known by the people that quit your jobs because of you. We bring all these amazing people on the stage, right? And you start getting inspired, and you go back to your spouse, you go back to your friends, and you say, I have this crazy idea, right? But the things that I think you should be pursuing are the ones that are connected to a story you have already been living. Let's look at the present. Our constant future concern is causing present time to be shorter, right? You have that past, you have that future, and you're making the present time smaller and smaller and smaller. You're living in the anxiety of the past and the future. So how do we start to do that differently? I think about my son, Nico. He's like 5 years old. And it's funny, we get to about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're doing something, and then he says, well, what's after that? What are we doing next? And I say, we're doing this. And then he says, what about after that? And we're doing that. And then and then he'll say, and then we're going to have dinner. And then what about after dinner? Are we going to do this? And he keeps going. And ultimately, he's trying to figure out when he has to go to bed. He's looking so far into the future, right? And this is a 5-year-old. Think about what is going through our heads every moment. We got to have a moment to consider what great things are happening now. So ask yourself, what do I see that is good around me to enjoy today? What do I see that is good that I can enjoy today? Over the next 2 days, I want you to be thinking about that. As you meet a new person, which you'll meet a ton of new people here, and you start hearing their stories, ask them their stories, and try to find something that can encourage you in that minute. And then tell them, wow, that is so good that you are doing that. And then you look in the future. We've lost the art of selecting what will be good for our future. Instead, we just get the constant update, right? We get the constant upgrade. Whatever is new and next, we take it on. We don't even think about how it could affect us. What if we could become picky with the progress in our lives? So I want you to ask yourself, what can I edit today that may help create a better tomorrow? I say all this because this is related to the theme, right? The future work has to be good. We hope that it is good. We have the past, the present, and the future, and I can see the good in all these people I meet with about their past. I see good in what's happening today, and I see good about the future, but we've lost this art of finding it. Because of all the push notifications that tell us what crazy thing our president did today. You'll probably get a number of notifications over the next 2 days, right? Of the things that are wrong in the world. But what if you and I could create a consciousness of seeing what is good in our world? We need to create slow motion moments to process what good has happened, what good is happening, and what good will happen soon. So I'm asking you over the next 2 days to see the world a little differently, to believe that the future is good, and to assume the role that you can be a part of creating it. This is the community we have gathered. Every time you meet a new person, I believe you will be encouraged because there's so many people in here. Listen, we looked at all of your Facebook profiles to find out who was in the room to match you with somebody. There is a lot of good things happening in this room, so I want you to be a part of it.